people, this Nate here.
This Kev.
And yo, we are Games Music Life. So we're back to review this Rick Ross project, Rose, Port of Miami 2.
Oh,
Part 2, Kev.
yeah, that was for my guy Jay.
Was it?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
He did used to always do that.
He hated Ross, man.
I know, he hated
Renzel.
I forgot about how much
he should have got him
Ross.
in.
We should have
got him in for this one.
He probably would have gave it an NA. But anyways, man, Rick Ross, Port of Miami 2. So let's talk about it. So this is part 2. I don't remember part 1, to be honest with you.
Really?
I don't remember part 1. As far as what songs were on it, I just remember the last couple. I remember Ross has a pretty good run of albums.
He does. He has an excellent run.
I think when it's all said and done, we're gonna look back on his discography and say he has some pretty good ones, man. Like ones that could be debatable. But Port of Miami 2, getting into it, like I like the project. Don't get me wrong. I loved. Okay, we talked about the '90s R&B samples that are going back into tracks, man. And he had another one on here, SWV. He needs to cut them the check again for this one. I think a lot of people are going to SWV on here. But the album itself was very easy listening. Ross is the production king. Mm-hmm. He has an ear for beats. And he stuck to the Justice League. He got them in there, and whoever else he had on here too. I don't remember exactly who he had on here. Just Blaze, which one of the ones I can run through a brick wall listening to that song.
Swiss popped up.
Well, that was Just Blaze's song, wasn't it?
Could have been. I know Swiss was on the intro.
Yeah, okay. So Swiss was on the intro, but I think it was Just Blaze. Because it's like Just Blaze that ushered him in. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Ross is the production king at this point in the game, man. Like every album is gonna have that great production, that setup. This album, I think, was that it kind of, in my opinion, lacked a focus. It was just making good songs. Like, I think Ross can make these type of songs anytime. Mm-hmm. Like even the track with Drake was really dope. Once again, the Maybach Music 6 kind of let me down only because he left off the Pusha T verse. For it to have that much steam behind it, where we knew it was coming, we knew that Wayne and Pusha was going to be on the song. For Push not to be on the album and make the track, I think was kind of corny. I really would have loved to keep it on there. I mean, and then the answer that he gave us was that, okay, I didn't want that bad energy on the project. You know, was kind of.
What was the bad energy though?
I don't know. Yeah. That's what he said. That was his answer on why Push's verse wasn't there.
He said time wasn't right.
Time wasn't right. Yeah. So I think, what time is right for someone to be dissing somebody? I mean, but
I didn't hear any disses.
I didn't either. Yeah. And that's the thing. It makes for good music. And I think definitely the fact that you're going to have one of the biggest artists ever in Pusha T and one of the biggest influential artists in Wayne on and out on a song, you can't put out the project and not have him on there, especially when everyone knew it was coming.
Right.
You know. So I think that was kind of Bush. What do you think, bro?
With this project, I want to say this is Rose's maybe like 11th or 12th album. I could be wrong. Okay. I'm not going to fact check that for y'all. Y'all can fact check it, leave it in the comments. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
But for me, listening to this album, this was a culmination of an artist knowing themselves, knowing their sound, and delivering what their audience would want from them. Mm-hmm. Rick Ross, he didn't step outside of his box, man. He stuck to what he knew, and that was probably the best thing that he could do for this album. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, it had been a while since Ross had dropped. I want to say we haven't got an album probably about 18 months. Okay. Again, that could be wrong, but it feels like it's been a while.
Yeah.
I know we got one, I think maybe 2018, top of the year, maybe.
Okay.
Something like that, or maybe even 2017. I'm not sure. It's been a while, though. I haven't heard any new Renzel in quite some time. And for this to be a continuation of a series that he started with his, introductory album, Port of Miami, this felt like it fit right in the perfect pocket. For me, it felt like he knew his formula, what worked for him, and he stuck to that. And that was probably the best justice that he could do for an album that, is supposed to stand in this stature is what your debut did. Like, I mean, Port of Miami 1, I mean, that's when we got introduced to, that was Hustling.
Okay.
That was, you know what I'm saying? That's when we heard Hustling. And now, I didn't think, that was one thing I did kind of notice. I didn't think that there were any big standout tracks on here.
Yeah.
Which, hey, whatever. I mean, a guy's been in the game, probably 10 plus years at this point.
Yeah.
So, hey, you don't have to focus on making hits. You can make the music that you want to make. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like his production, man, he knows what works with his voice. Since he's got that real like kind of growl, that real low register in his voice or whatever, and he's always giving you the luxury raps.
Yeah.
You need luxurious beats, man. You know what I'm saying? Real elegant keys, really sharp synths and horns and strings all over the production on here. You know what I'm saying? Give it that really luxurious feel.
Yeah.
And he stuck to that throughout. Now at parts like in the middle of the album, I did start to kind of feel like some of the songs were starting to feel a little bit samey, because it was like, when we didn't get the elegance beats or whatever, we were getting the soul samples, which he does great over, and he has the same flow. You know what I'm saying? It's literally every 2 bars or whatever, and a pause, 2 bars, pause, 1.5 bars, pause. and it just works for him. Like somehow it never wears you out.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, it just fits.
I think it's his voice.
It's his formula.
Yeah.
At this point, it's like, yo, this is a winning formula for him. He doesn't need to step outside of that box to make solid projects. You know what I'm saying? And another thing that really tripped me out about this whole album is just padded out with features. But at no point did I ever feel like, yo, he just tried to layer this thing with, you know what I'm saying, people that we already liked to mask it being subpar or anything like that. It's like, yo, no. He was delivering content that was quality. He broke up his own voice with these other voices, and they all matched perfectly. To me, it just showed versatility in his style. Even though it was all very formulaic, it still felt versatile. I can't be mad at the guy.
No, I can't either. No,
saying?
that's the thing. Like when I got done with it, I'm like, okay, Ross can make this album in his sleep.
That's exactly how I felt. It's like, yo, this felt like a layup, but it's like, yo, he delivered. For his core, the core fans argument or whatever. It's like, yo, for people who like Rose, how could you not like this album? Because it's like this is what we've been liking from him for the past 10 years.
Right,
and,
absolutely.
You know, I'm the type of person. I'm always like, yo, I like for my artists to break out of the box, but this is an example of, yo, listen, stay in your lane. It's working for you, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, don't try to change the game when you know your shot is falling, man. Keep shooting.
Right.
One thing I will say, the intro track, Act a Fool, the mixing sounded like it was a little bit off.
It did.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole track sounded muffled.
Why'd it have to be the Wale track? That sounded like that.
Hey man, you know why?
Yeah,
you know why.
The universe doesn't like
Nobody's favorite. Yo, Gunplay came in and smoked that.
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? I like the fact that a lot of times the guys that were on these tracks with him matched his flow, and it sounds good across the board. Yeah, man. The track with him and Jeezy, you know what I'm saying?
I like Jeezy getting back to the old Jeezy way.
I do like Jeezy getting back to his old. I wanted that to be a little bit bigger than what it was, but I think it might have to do more where it fell in the track list already at that point, and it was like it was good, you know, no complaints or whatever. But I did feel like that should have been a moment. Maybach Music 6. Listen, John Legend on these hooks, like he's surviving off of hooks at this point.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yo, his voice just rings of elegance. You know what I'm saying? It's like you bring John Legend in because, you know, this is a vibe that you're going for, man. You're going to get those keys. You're going to get those strings. You're going to get those crispy drums across the board. You know what I'm saying? This sounds like money. You know what I'm saying? And that's the sound that Rose is going for.
Right.
Gold Roses with Drake. I actually think this was probably a Drake song that Rose might have been featured on, and then Drake just kind of tossed it to him. It sounds more like it was meant for Drake. That sounds like 40 production in my ear. I could be, again, completely wrong. I have no clue.
They went underwater.
It's what it sounded like to me.
Absolutely. What'd you think of the Wayne, though? The Wayne verse?
I thought Wayne came in and did his thing. I do think it would have been bigger with Push.
Absolutely.
But, you know, for me, that ended up making it just kind of be another song that fell into the track listing rather than it really just being a standout like it would have been if Push was on that song along with Wayne.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like Push's verse really fit in with what Wayne and Ross were both talking about. Push's verse was very aggressive. Now, I don't think he was throwing any shots at Wayne per se.
I don't think so either.
But I did feel like, you know, his subject matter on the song didn't necessarily match where they were going.
I got you.
So him not being on the track made sense, but I am glad we still got the verse out there. The Meek Mill verse on here, like Meek killed it, and like it's a cool song, but I kind of wanted a little bit more. I ain't gonna lie, I wanted a little bit more. I think the last time I heard Rose and Meek together was when they did the track with Hove on Meek's album on Championships. Okay. So it was like, yo, I wanted another one of those.
Yeah.
But you know, hey man, you ain't gonna get those every time. Right. I would have liked the Hove feature. Hove, where you at, man? Renzel has done enough to, you know, deserve a Hove verse. Yeah, I guess Hove ain't. He ain't.
No,
you know, he ain't rapping like that.
We'll get Benny the Butcher and Hove before we get Hove and
Turnpike Ike, man. Did Renzel just coin another nickname? So we got Rose, Renzel, Rick Ross, Rose, and now we got Turnpike Ike, man. I love it. I love it, man. But overall, I definitely thought this was a really solid project, front to back. You know, I hate to say safe because it seems like it has a negative connotation, but it was. He expected, or he delivered on what I expected, and I can appreciate that, man. 86.
86? Okay, I gave it 82.
Okay.
82. I think it's hard to dislike you said. It's hard to give it a dislike it because it is what we like from Ross and the production. Like I said, I just think the dude is just an ear for beats.
Top to bottom, he never did too much. He never stepped out of his own pocket. He stayed in his lane and he delivered. You know what he needed to deliver for this album, man. For this to be Port of Miami 2, it was important for Rose to really stay true to herself, and I feel like that's what he did. And man, he gave us some introspective bars. You know what I'm saying? Talk. What's the song here, man? I Still Pray. You know what I'm saying? Talk about his health scares and all that stuff. Like,
he did go
dude, that
deep in
was
that. I like
real.
it.
That was real. So I appreciated that from Rose. And hey, man, next time don't make us wait so long, player. You know what I'm saying? You know the streets need that.
Right. But yo, Rick Ross fans, get in here. If you give it 100, you're absolutely right. Let us know. Was I too high, too low? Was Kev too high, too low? And we'll go from there, man.
Absolutely.
But yo, I'm Nadir.
This Kev.
And yo, we are Games Music Life, man. Drink more water, people.
Peace.
Peace.